Hey guys, welcome back to Zemery Watches. My name's Connor and I make watches. Now I've got a treat. Today I've got this nice field watch, starting with this NH35 movement here. If you want me to go into how to build an NH35 in the future, I've taken them apart and rebuilt them for fun. Just let me know. But we've got this really beautiful green dial here with some nice loom Arabic numerals. Just cleaning it off with some putty there to make sure there's no dust or anything. I don't like field watches, but I like this watch a lot. I gave it to my friend and I made another that I'm selling, but I might make another for me. I really like this watch. Anyways, all you've got to do is just push it onto the movement there. There's little pre-cut holes and you've got a perfectly placed dial. And man, that thing really pulls it all together. But just taking off some last pieces of dust and just pushing some of the dust off with my air blower here. Now take a look at this case that I got. This is a titanium case with a screw down crown. It's got a ton of water resistance. I really like the finishing on it. I like the way titanium looks. But anyways, let's get into doing these hands. I got these nice loomed up hands here. Now, if you're following along, if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, I recommend you get one of those machines I have there. Super cheap. It just pushes down with constant pressure on those hands, which is a huge help. If you have kind of an inconsistent push there, it can cause the hand to be sloped down or up or on just a little bit wonky, which can cause friction with the other hands, which actually happened here because I pushed down a little bit poorly. But you just use a little piece of putty to line it up and push down with one hand. And in theory, it gives it even pressure all around. And then you can make sure it's working by pulling out the crown stem after giving a little twist. But after pushing that on, you can see it's rotating nice and fine. So now I'm lining it up for the last time, giving it that last push, and hopefully it's on evenly. Now I'm just taking a peek at it, making sure it looks parallel with the dial, and lining it back up at noon. This doesn't have any date window, so there's no need to line it up specifically with any time. So I'm just starting at this particular time. And now I'm sticking on the minute hand. Now, just a word of warning here. Putting these hands on is honestly kind of annoying and tedious. It can be really tricky and you could mess it up a lot. So don't be embarrassed or upset if you mess it up your first couple times. I've been doing this for a while now. I mess it up every single time. But one of the things that you kind of have to accept about making your own watch is there's going to be imperfections, and you kind of have to love it for that, because imperfections in this case means they were made by someone who's flawed, someone who makes mistakes, not by a machine. And I think there's a certain kind of charm to that. So I checked there when I was turning it sideways that the hands weren't brushing up against each other, because if one's angled, it can kind of run into the other. They were. So I'm putting a little plastic piece to cover up the dial while I do this, and just pulling off that minute hand there, pulling it nice and clean off, leaving just the hour hand so that I can put the minute hand back on in a better way. So when I did that, I actually jarred the hour hand loose, so I'm just going to press it down really quickly. Like I said, you make these mistakes a lot. They don't really have too much consequence in the end as long as you fix them, so just takes a little bit of extra time. But I felt like including this for the sake of honesty, and if you're trying to follow along as a tutorial, I know it can be frustrating to make all these mistakes and no one ever talks about them, just kind of edit them out of the video. They're very real and it's totally okay. But this time I'm really lining it up perfectly and trying to put as equal of a pressure as I can with my finger there, spinning it around so that both sides get the same pressure. And now we've got something that's lined up a lot better. There's no friction, it slides nice, and everything's nice lined up. As you can see there, it's really hard to see because they're so tiny, but they don't hit, they glide over each other, nice and easy. Just pushing and making sure nothing moves when I hit it, everything's securely locked in. Cool. So now is the Worst part of the entire build every single time. Super annoying to do. That is the second hand. This has a tiny little pin that you have to get right into the center of that movement there. It is super frustrating. This is like 15 times speed. It's really hard to do. It takes a lot of precision, a lot of tries, and it's very fragile. So you want to be super gentle. When it's in, it'll just lock in like that. You don't have to put too much pressure. You just push very lightly. I don't know if you can tell. I'm barely putting any pressure. It just slides in there. And once you've got it, you'll know you have it when you wind up the movement a little bit and let it run. And it glides. You could change the angle, nothing will shake or move, and all of the hands, they line up real nice. Nothing's scraping, and that's how you know you've done a good job. So now I'm just winding it, making sure it runs nice. And this is where I made a huge mistake. Not a huge mistake, but just a mistake. I ordered these custom logos. Really cool. They have Xamarin on it with the logo I made to put on the dial, and I totally forgot to put it on until after I put the hands on. I don't recommend doing this if you are going to make your own logo, because now I had to work around these hands that I spent so much time putting into place and lining up this logo right in the middle, everything like that. It was kind of a pain. Again, I sped this up a lot, but once I had it on, I have this nice Xamarin Watches logo on the top there. I really like the way it looks. I got that on a website called For Customize. It's not super cheap, but they do a really good job and they work with you to build the logo. Not sponsored or anything, just giving a shout out to them. But so yeah, now we're ready to take the crown stem out. You can see I'm trying to point it out here. Really, really tiny button that you press. You want to make sure the crown is all the way in so the watch is ticking. And if you press that little button there, you can pull the stem right out. And now it's ready for casing. So again, I got this really nice case. Spent a little bit of extra money on this. Again, made this for a friend. Also selling it. I told him if I sell it, I'll build him another one. But really polishing the inside there, because once you case this up, there's no way to clean the inside. You really want to make sure there's no dust or smudges on the inside, and giving it a good blow so none of the dust stays in there. And now all you have to do to this is just set the case right on top of the movement. You want to make sure it's on something soft so you don't damage any of the fragile parts underneath. And once it's in, you can just make sure everything's lined up. And what I like to do, and I know, sorry, a little bit of this is off camera, but what I like to do is take a pair of tweezers and just push on that plastic part, that ring on the outside. Really push it into place to make sure it's not moving around a lot. But just checking the front, making sure everything's lined up. And again, taking those tweezers, pushing on that plastic rim. Again, not the metal part, none of the components that are fragile, just that plastic rim there, pushing into place. Now you can take the case back, which I always like to do clear case back. I know that NH35 isn't the prettiest movement, but I usually take them apart and rebuild them, so it's nice to look at. And then you want to lubricate that gasket there with what I just showed. That's the lubricant there, super cheap. I had done that in advance, but once you have that done, you can polish the case again, the case back, give everything a nice final blow there so there's no dust or shavings of metal or anything that could potentially gum up the works, and just screw on the case back. I've got a little tool here that helps screw it on when it has these nice ridges built into it. Really locks it into place. This is for a friend who likes hiking and being outdoors, and I know for a fact he's not going to baby this watch, so I want to make it as life proof as possible. I don't believe in babying watches to begin with, but I try to make my watches as waterproof as I can. But yeah, that's that whole build. That's pretty much everything. It's got that screw down crown, so you can wind it regularly, and then when you're ready to push the crown back in, you just push, and do the same winding motion. This helps add some waterproof elements to it. I really like it on the nylon strap. I might build one of these just for myself. I'll make a video again if I do it, but that just looks so good. Everything really comes together, and the loom on this is really good too. I think this is just a great watch. I put a lot more effort into editing and making this video, so I hope you like it. I am selling this watch. I don't know. I'm sure I'll link something in the description, but please like and subscribe and stick around. I've got another build coming very soon.